Let's talk about the Washington Commanders. This is a brand new era. Ron Rivera is no longer the head coach with this team. Josh Harris is now going into his first full off season with guys that he wants to bring in. Ron Rivera was not his head coach. That was a Dan Snyder guy. He's going in with fresh pieces right now. They do have good players on this roster, but overall, as a team, they're not good. It's the reason why they have the second overall pick in this coming NFL draft class. One thing that I do have a lot of concerns about is Sam Howell. I think that Sam Howell is a very good quarterback, in my opinion. I know some people may roll their eyes and say, what are you talking about? He led the league in picks. He's no good. 21 touchdowns to 21 interceptions. That's terrible. Hear me out. He got sacked 65 times this season. That led the league in sacks. And not all interceptions were his fault. You can go back and look at certain points and times throughout the season. He puts the ball right in between the numbers. They drop the ball, goes for an interception. And when guys needed help getting open, he would throw them open to where only the wide receiver could get it. I think that they have a very special quarterback in Sam Howell. And I don't believe that you can go out there and get a guy like Jaden Daniels from LSU. You draft him with the second overall pick, and you still have an offensive line issue. He's going to look just as bad, or if not worse than Sam Howell. This is a kid that played every single game this season. And Ron Rivera was a big fan of him at first, but he did make the decision to go towards Jacoby Brissett. But Jacoby Brissett hurt his hamstring in practice. He let Sam Howell finish out the season. Sam Howell has had a lot of good moments this season with this team. Look at what he did to the Philadelphia Eagles when they were still red hot for the first half of the season. He really was exposing the Philadelphia Eagles' problems before any other quarterback was. Before guys like Kirk Cousins and all those guys were going out there throwing a party on him, he went and took this team to overtime against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they almost won that game if it was not for a bad call by the referee. Terry McLaurin did have his feet in bounds. But I look at the pieces that they have around Sam Howell, like I just mentioned, Terry McLaurin, a very good wide receiver. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game. He just doesn't get his love and his respect because the Washington Commanders are not a top-tier team in the NFL. But he's had over 1,000 yards in every single year that he's been in the NFL, 1,002 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns this season. Just barely broke over 1,000, but he did. And he always has a different quarterback, it seems like, every other year. Alex Smith was a solid quarterback option for this team a couple of years ago, but that leg injury took a lot off of him, and he's no longer in the NFL because of that. And you look at Carson Wentz, he wasn't a guy from a year ago, and they've had over 20 starting different quarterbacks since 2000. That's the second most in the NFL to the Cleveland Browns. They have to figure out that situation. Giving Sam Howell another shot would not hurt this team. And he showed a lot of good potential. I know some people raise their eyebrows some of the interception that he throws. He's a gunslinger. That's what he was at UNC. He is a very good quarterback with this team. He has good potential. I still advise this team to go out there and to try to scout out the quarterback of their liking. See if you want a Jaden Daniels. See if you want a Drake May, one of those guys, and try to just go in there and just see if you really like him. If they really like a quarterback that much, you get selected with the second overall pick. I wouldn't be the biggest fan of it, but you just can't select him with the second overall pick. Just make sure the offensive line is good enough for that kid, and definitely make sure that it's good enough for Sam Howell. Because from tackle to tackle, this offensive line is horrible. They're bad. The entire offensive line needs a revamp. He was the most hit, most pressured, and most sacked quarterback this season. The second most was Bryce Young. And you can't say, well, Sam Howell was holding on to the ball for too long. Early in the season, he was. Eric Bieniemy tried to go out there and fix some things up by doing some tunnel screens, doing some things behind the line of scrimmage. It still didn't help. This offensive line still could not block, and they could not block in the rushing attack either. And the run game was very weird for this team because the first bad game that Sam Howell had of the season was against the Buffalo Bills, where he threw 4 interceptions in that game. And Brian Robinson Jr. on the season has 733 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 4 yards a carry. The reason why I bring him up off of that bad game, that's when they started to give up on the run game. From that point on, they were not giving him the ball more than 20 times in the game. He didn't get over 20 carries in the game after that. And that's where you have to help out a young quarterback like Sam Howell. No, he was not a rookie quarterback because he started one game against the Dallas Cowboys the year before, and he beat the Cowboys. But this is his first full year starting. Give this kid more time. You know, I remember in the past, you would give a quarterback 3 to 4 years to see if he could fully develop, run out his contract, put pieces around him. They have the right playmakers. They just need to build up that offensive line. I like the tight ends with this team as well. I think Logan Thomas is a very good tight end with this team. 496 receiving yards on the season, 4 receiving touchdowns. He also averaged 9 yards a catch. But they need to fix this offensive line. And I look at their defense as well. That's another reason why Ron Rivera got fired. This defense was horrible. It was abysmal. They let up 40-plus points in almost back-to-back games. I remember when the Chicago Bears this season on Thursday night, DJ Moore's going out there having a field day. They couldn't stop him. This is a team that was 32nd in total defense. That's dead last in the NFL. 32nd in passing defense, dead last in the NFL, and 26th in rushing defense. They couldn't stop anyone. Their defense was abysmal. And I'm looking at the pieces that they have on the defense. It shouldn't have been that bad. Yes, you traded Montez Sweat, and yes, you also traded Chase Young as well. Respectively, you traded both of those guys. They're very good pass rushers. But you still have very good defensive players on the team. I like Daron Payne a lot. He's a very good defensive tackle. Jonathan Allen is a very good defensive tackle as well. You have Casey Toohill, who came in and gave you good sack production. 5 sacks and limited action with this team. It's just their secondary. Cameron Curl is a solid safety with this team. In the past, he's been a major playmaker with this team. But I look at Emmanuel Forbes. Horrible this season. Just horrible. And he is a rookie. You're going to give him more time, let him develop, hopefully. But for this to be his first season, he was downright terrible. He couldn't stop anyone running past him. And that's horrible because he was a first-round pick with this team. And you also look at Kendall Fuller, still a very good corner with this team, the best player in the secondary, but he's 28 years old. And how much longer is he going to want to stay with this Commanders team? And I look at their linebackers. Jamin Davis was very solid this season. But I look at a guy like Cody Barton. That's not a guy that you want to field the entire time. He should be getting limited snaps with this team. He is best when he's in doses, not when he's on the field majority of the time. So they have a lot of things that they need to fix, but they need to fix that offense first. They need to fix that offensive line. The fact that Sam Howell was able to stay upright and not deal with injuries, that's crazy. And I also do not like the fact that Ron Rivera basically tried to come out and blame this kid for all his problems. This is the same Ron Rivera that said quarterback was a problem with this team when they lost against the Bears a year ago on another Thursday night game. Seems like he just can't beat the Bears on Thursday night. When the reporter asked what's the main difference, he said quarterback. Then he comes out a week later and he's upset with the media. You said it. But he's no longer with this team. And he shouldn't have been back from last season as well. He did not even know they were eliminated from playoff contention. I'll never forget that clip. So Ron Rivera may not have a hard time finding a job as a consultant in the NFL, but as a head coach, he shouldn't be a head coach again. But they have a lot of holes that they need to fix with this roster. And I would tell Washington Commander fans this is going to be a long process because you're in a tough division. You're in a division with the Philadelphia Eagles, even though they haven't looked good the last month. The Dallas Cowboys are very good as well. And you have the New York Giants, who are pretty much on the same level as the Washington Commanders. The thing is, you have a quarterback in Sam Howell. You don't accidentally throw 21 touchdowns. Now, I understand the interceptions, but he's a gunslinger. Give this kid time to develop. Give him time to grow. Give him this offseason with just better offensive linemen. You give him a better chance at offensive line, he could be good. Look at the first couple games of the season, what he was able to do. And even when he was dealing with pressure, he still made a lot of good throws. Those are things that the mainstream media will not talk about. They will just say, hey, go draft a quarterback. He threw 21 interceptions, lead the league in picks. He's terrible. But they won't talk about the fact that he was staring down the blitz. Majority of the time, he was throwing dots to guys like Terry McLaurin. He was throwing dots to guys like Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel. And you also had some drop passes in there as well. They won't talk about that. They'll just talk about the fact that they just see, hey, he's throwing 2 to 3 interceptions in a game. He's terrible. When a wide receiver slips down and they run the wrong route and they're supposed to be in the spot and they're not in the spot and it goes for an interception. Like how it happened for the last 3 games of this season. I understand what happened against the New York Jets. The offense did look better with Jacoby Brissett, but Jacoby Brissett is a veteran. You know what you have with Jacoby Brissett. He's a solid backup quarterback in the NFL. And also, teams were not going out there and game planning for Jacoby Brissett. It's easy for a backup to come in and put in work against you. Look at what Sam Darnold did against the Baltimore Ravens until they tightened up. Half of the time when Jacoby Brissett was coming in, they're playing prevent defense and just cushion coverage. They weren't even crowding the line of scrimmage with Sam Howell. They would just get pressure with their front 4 to front 5 guys. No quarterback is going to have a chance in the NFL with that. Even look at Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl a couple years ago when he lost against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The offensive line let him down. He did not look good. Give this kid a fighting chance for the first 3 games of the season when the offensive line looked decent. They were able to go out there and be competent in games, and they were competitive, and he looked like a very good quarterback. This kid has a freakish arm that you can't teach, and his deep ball is insane. He has one of the best deep balls in the NFL already, and this is off the first starting season this season. Give this kid more time. I really think that he can be a star quarterback. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Washington Commanders moving forward, and did they make the right decision by firing Ron Rivera? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.